Hi, come cook with me. I'm Stella V. And don't forget, if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and I'll be happy to reply. I'm really excited about today's session because I'm going to show you one of my favorite meals to prepare in the Instant Pot. Ribs, everybody's favorite. But for the longest time, I stopped making ribs. All those hours that went into preparing them. They either had to be boiled for 2 or 3 hours or low and slow in the oven for 2 or 3 hours. But now I am going to show you how to make the most delicious ribs, and all in under an hour. You can prepare ribs any night of the week. Doesn't have to be a special occasion, and it doesn't have to be for a crowd. Even for 2, you can prepare delicious ribs. I've got a full rack of ribs here, and what I have done is put a dry rub on it 24 hours in advance. You can do that the morning of, you can do that 10 hours, 6 hours ahead of time, but for a flavorful rib dinner, I suggest you always put your dry rub on in advance. Dry rub, what does that mean? Well, we've got your favorite things. It could be any combination that you prefer, but it usually involves some chili powder, paprika, smoked paprika, onion and garlic powders, and of course brown sugar. And just a little tip about that brown sugar. Has it ever happened to you where you go to get your package or your container and it's rock solid? Well, I think that's a pretty common problem, and I've got a solution. Simply put it in the microwave for 30 seconds and that hard rock brown sugar will be nice and flaky once again. It's easy to have that dry rub on hand all the time. I simply put it in a mason jar and it'll keep in the fridge for weeks. I've taken that rack of ribs, I've coated it with the dry rub. It's been in a plastic bag overnight, and now we're ready to Instant Pot the ribs. That's a perfectly rubbed rack of ribs. So there's 2 main components to those ribs. The rack of ribs we've already taken care of. The second part is the liquid. The liquid that goes into the Instant Pot that will be flavoring the ribs as they pressure cook. A combination of apple juice, apple cider vinegar, and a really important component is liquid smoke. Any brand of liquid smoke and any flavor. I'm using hickory today. In the Instant Pot now, we have about 2 cups of apple juice. We've added the apple cider vinegar and the most important ingredient, the liquid smoke. Just about 5 or 6 drops. The only other piece of equipment you'll need is a steamer rack. It could be the inexpensive variety you see here, any kind of steamer rack. And if you do not have one, you can just crunch up some foil wrap. We want to elevate the ribs above the liquid. And now we're ready to place the ribs into the pot. I've got it rolled so the rack is in a nice little roll, and we simply drop it right into and on top of that rack. Now how simple was that? Apple juice, bit of cider vinegar, and a few drops of liquid smoke, 1 rack of ribs that have been already rubbed, and now we put the lid on and set the timer for 25 minutes. I've locked the lid into place, making sure that the pressure button is on sealing. Once that's done, we simply set the timer to high pressure for 25 minutes. Pressure cook, and 25 minutes. Microplane, the best kitchen tools for your kitchen. Right now, I'm using a Mandolin slicer, handheld, and I have a safety glove on because that's really important. Look how easily it just slices through this cabbage, and in just minutes, I'm going to have a wonderful mound of coleslaw. I'm serving coleslaw for dinner, but while I have my equipment out, I'm going to shred the entire cabbage. And I have a really good tip for you. To keep the cabbage really fresh in the fridge for weeks, I put it in a Ziploc bag and add just a little tiny few drops of apple cider vinegar. And now the Instant Pot is signaling the 25 minutes of high pressure is over. Now we just leave everything as it is for the next 15 minutes. We're allowing 15 minutes of natural release, and that's a really important step. Don't forget to wear your safety glove, safety first, and use your microplane grater to make coleslaw a really simple thing. That looks like the perfect ratio. Simply stir it to blend and add your favorite dressing. Here's a tip for you when making coleslaw. Once you've added your favorite dressing, I always put in a couple of drops of apple cider vinegar. And just to recap, we have pre-rubbed our ribs, left them overnight or for a minimum of 6 hours with the rub. We have added apple cider vinegar to some apple juice along with some liquid smoke. We put the ribs on a rack and we've had them in the Instant Pot for 25 minutes. We're now letting it naturally release for 15. And now that the 15 minutes is up, we're going to open that vent and we're opening it to venting. As you can see, there's not a lot of steam left and we'll be able to open up that lid very soon. The pin has dropped, the lid opens, and we are ready for our final step. As you can see, the rack looks beautiful in there. Just simply lifting it out, and I have a prepared baking sheet, foil covered, ready for the ribs to be placed on. Our final step, adding your favorite barbecue sauce to the rack and putting it under the broiler for 5 minutes. My final basting, and I'm adding a liberal amount of barbecue sauce because I really like that. I have my oven preset to broil, and I'm going to pop that in for 5 minutes. Now, another tip for you, all that delicious liquid that's still at the bottom of your pot, I usually leave it all intact until the next day because there'll be a lot of fat, delicious fat, and stuff. I simply put it into a Ziploc bag, I double seal it, and put it in the freezer for the next time I need to use it. As you can see, just 5 minutes in the broiler, and we're going to have a beautiful sizzled barbecue sauce. Just wanted to show you straight from the broiler, delicious, delicious ribs. All under an hour in our Instant Pot. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and leave me a comment. I'll get back to you. I'm Stella V, and come cook with me.